Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
How are you all doing?
good.
I have not graded your paper, but I promise I must finish grading your papers this week. By Sunday, you're gonna have all your grades on the research paper you did some time ago. I'm a little slow this because of the time frame, my schedule this semester. All right, let me show you what you need to complete this week. From the announcement I made, this is for week 11. We didn't have a class last week, but so that means we're going to have the topic we are supposed to discuss last week and the chapter we were supposed to do last week. We're doing them this week. I also extended the due date for the last week assignment to be this weekend so that we should be fine. So you reach chapter 11 and then do homework 10 and test 2. That's all you need to do this week. So having said that, we can begin. So this week, like I said, it's chapter 11. We'll be working on the team concept. Yeah, I'm sure that you all have heard of that word, team. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So yes, I want to make sure that you are seeing this. Okay, good. I'm sure you must have heard the word team before, and that you know what it means. So, okay. Give me 1 minute. Something is wrong with this. Yeah. All right, let's start. A team. Everything we do will revolve around team concept. So each of the individual topics we'll be discussing will be based on the team concept. Okay. Now, let's see. The team. Again, let me make sure you're seeing this. The team concept. So, what is a team anyway? Well, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, you already know what a team is because you have seen it maybe in your other classes, but today we're looking at it with in the light of leadership. So, on that premise, we define a team as people who organize to function cooperatively as a group. People who organize to function cooperatively as a group. That's what we call a team. So some characteristics of a team are that it has a common commitment and purpose, specific performance goals, complementary skills, commitment to how the work gets done, and mutual accountability. Sociologist Max Weber, I'm going to mention some sociologists that have done some work on the team. So some of them include Max Weber, Emile Durkheim, and George Simmel explain the role of groups in human experience. Whether pre-literate or post-industrial, people have always used groups to satisfy important needs. Some of those needs, I would illustrate them with examples. The first one is for childbearing and intimacy, in which case we use marriage and family. The next one is for our interest in the supernatural. In that case, we create religious sects and institutions. Then, for the other needs, we have social and order and organization. In that case, we form government. For education, we establish schools. For protection, we raise armies. For economic needs, we form work groups and organizations. So these are what these sociologists explain, that how people always use groups to satisfy important needs. So in the bottom line is this: individuals are willing to give up certain liberties and resources to gain services they could not provide on their own. So at this point, we are ready to look at group and group teams. Then let us take a short look on some historical perspective as they relate to group and teams. The importance of group dynamics in the workplace and the role of the leader as a team builder have a long history. So you have a long history, and just give me 1 minute. Yep, it's a long history, and the formal study of group began in the human relations movement of the 1920s and 1930s as collaborative efforts were featured to balance individual efforts emphasized by the scientific management theorists. So in the 1940s and 1950s, the focus moved to sensitivity training, anti groups, and the development of interpersonal skills. So that was the focus in the 1940s and 1950s. Then in the 1960s, 1960s, and that decade was an era of organizational development that is emphasized. Well, let me put it this way: an era of organizational development that emphasized team and leadership effectiveness through the interventions with ongoing work groups and organizations. So, and that takes us to the 1970s and 1980s. So in the 1970s and 1980s, competition from Japan and other countries resulted in an emphasis on participative management, employee involvement, and quality management through the use of teams, which now takes us to the 1990s and the post-2000, including today. So in that that decade, that means 1990s and the post-2000, the focus now shifted to high-performance teams to design products, serve customers, and improve quality to maintain a competitive advantage in a global economy. So currently, I'm talking about this decade, teams are used in the majority of organizations in the United States, regardless of the size. At many companies, more than 3/4 of the employees' days is spent communicating with the co-workers. I'm sure that you are aware of that because I know that some of you work in different establishments. So that so what is the take-home message from this? It is very simple, that leaders today rely on teams and new technology to enable communication across time and geographic distance. Leadership success requires an understanding of group behavior and also the ability to tap the constructive power of teams. So we have the we will now turn our attention to teamwork. Let's look at teamwork. So, and I will use an example, the case of the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic, as you know, is a popular clinic, and a lot of their work have to do with psychology, psychological experiments. So, the Mayo Clinic which employs more than 42,000 people at various locations, is an example of an organization that relies on teamwork to provide high quality healthcare. So the Mayo Clinic hires the top of the talent pool, but also seek people who view quality in medicine as a team endeavor. So going by the Mayo Clinic, it's a clinic. The clinic basically shuns the star system in favor of the team concept, so that many excellent clinicians will not fit at Mayo because of this, including those who lack interpersonal skills and the one-team attitude. Yeah. So the bottom line is this. One is that the Mayo culture attract individuals who use the practice of medicine best delivered when there are, or who, I would say that those who believe, people who believe that the practice of medicine is best delivered when there is an integration of medical specialties functioning as a team. Those are the kind of people that the Mayo Clinic attracts. Yeah. And the second thing is this: when it comes to the Mayo Clinic, is that typical of the Mayo Clinic, I will put it that way. I think that's the best way to put it. So the typical of the Mayo Clinic is the century-old team approach to treating patients, in which case physicians work in teams, with each team driven by the medical problems involved in a case and also by the patient's performance. So occasionally, a team will be expanded or even taken apart and then, reassembled in some cases. So the third thing is this: the Mayo diagnosis. At Mayo, diagnosing a complex problem or proposing treatments and slotting the patient for synergy can happen within 24 hours of the diagnosis. And this is because of the fact that they work with teams. Now, the overall effect of the Mayo method is that it's one of orderliness, functions, and above all, vigor. So that's what we obtained at that facility because of they are so much involved with team. Even as other medical institutions are cutting staff and reducing services, Mayo is a robust, thriving organization with revenues of up to 2.9 billion. I'm talking about as of last year, and the staff of almost 30,500 as of 2020. I would say 2021. Okay. Now this brings us to excellent teams. But before I do that, does anybody have a question in what I have so far? I've said so far.
No.
Any question, guys?
No.
Let me. I saw that some people just entered, so I'm gonna check up their names. Niger, I have Niger and Godfrey. Godfrey, is this the name you use in the class? Okay, in Zurich. Oh, I've seen it before. Okay, I have Demi Lola. So, okay, good. Sheba, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I got all of you. Yeah. So now, this leads us to the excellent teams. Excellent teams. Now, excellent teams. The best way to put it is this: excellent teams. The most important element of teamwork is commitment to a common purpose, so that the best teams also develop norms of behavior for working together to achieve their purpose. So with a clear motivating purpose and positive norms of behavior, people can pull together as powerful force to achieve an extraordinary results. So that will bring us closer to when I say excellent teams, what we are referring to. So I will say this: that fully functioning groups and excellent teams have 12 characteristics. 12 characteristics. The first one is clear vision. Clear vision. The task or the objective of the group is well understood and accepted by all. So that is the best way to describe clear vision. The second one is the informal atmosphere, whereby the atmosphere is informal, comfortable, and relaxed. So it is the a working atmosphere in which everyone is involved and interested. So there's no sign of boredom. So that's this, the second characteristics or feature of excellent teams. Now, let me see. Yeah. The next one will be this thing is not moving. Okay. A lot of discussion. They have a lot of discussion. So time is allowed in an excellent team. Time is allowed okay, for discussion in which everyone is encouraged to participate, and discussions remain pertinent to the tasks of the group. So, lots of discussions. So the fourth one is active listening, whereby members listen to each other. So every idea is given a hearing in an excellent team. Now, the fifth one is the trust and openness, whereby members feel free to express ideas and feelings, both on the issues and on the group's operation. So in such a team, people are not afraid to suggest new or different ideas, even if they are fairly extreme. So there is a trust and openness. Another core property is the disagreement is okay. That means the people in the excellent team, disagreements are not suppressed or overridden by premature group action. So conflicts and differences of opinion are accepted as the price of creativity. That is that kind of team. Now, the other remaining features of this team, we have the criticism is issue-oriented and never personal. So that constructive criticism is given and accepted. So criticism is oriented towards solving problems and accomplishing the mission. So personal criticism is neither expressed or felt in such a team. Then we have another important characteristics of this team, which is the consensus in the norm. So in this case, decisions are reached by consensus, in which it is clear that everyone is in general, basically, let me put it this way, that everyone is in general agreement and willing to go along, so that formal voting is kept to a minimum. So now the last two of these features of the excellent teams are clarity of assignment and commitment. So when we say clarity of assignment, we mean that the group is informed of the action plan. So when action is taken, clear assignments are met and accepted. So people in the team know what they are expected to do. Then we can now say commitment. So people are committed to achieving the goals of the group. So that now, bottom line is this when it comes to excellent team. One, well, the main thing is this: by reinforcing strengths and addressing deficiencies, people can take steps to build and entertain a high performance group. So when this is done, together everyone can accomplish more. So at this point, we are now ready to move to the next concept, which is team in organization. Now we have so far covered the meaning of team, And then we can now look at the team as it relates to organization. Yeah. So what is a team anyway? We said that a team is a group. I've already explained it, but we can still go through it again and relate it to organization. So a team simply means in any organization, a team simply means a group of people brought together to use their complementary skills to achieve a common purpose, for which they are collectively action and accountable, because they can be, they are required to be, they are accountable to whatever goal they are formed to achieve. So now we say teamwork. So when team members accept and live up to their collective accountability, we say that a teamwork is occurring. So now there are two things that we also need to look at when it comes to team in organization. They are team, what they call synergy and team synergy. So now let's start with synergy. So teams achieve synergy, or teams that achieve synergy, they bring out the best in their members. So synergy simply means they combine power, profit that they can achieve as a group, which they cannot achieve by working individually. So that's we call it synergy. When it comes, we have this term in different fields in management. Like we have a synergy for corporations. We also have it for our team. So simply put, a team synergy is the experience where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Okay, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, or the sum of the parts, and then also where the members of the team operate in ways that complement and not only complement but also leverage what other strengths, such as it depends on the kind of project they are doing. So that means that when I say that, I mean that where the members of the team operate in ways that complement and leverage each other's to each other's strength. I mean, when I said each other's strength to achieve their goals. So we can say that team synergy have occurred. So we have the something like let me say that it's a good thing to have this team synergy, because it usually comes with the high of a high performance team. So let's look at the high performance now. For that, I'm gonna play a short video for you. The high performance team, the simplest way to explain it is that it is a group of people that hold each other accountable to achieve results that are very outstanding. So and we know them because of the members. They exhibit some of the features of a team, those features of an excellent team. They exhibit them in their way of the way they work to deal with work, with tasks that are assigned to them. So this short video can give us a more clarification about what a high performance team is. Let me see if you can play. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's coming now. Okay, good. This is just advertisement. So let me make the sound.
Switch.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jeff Klein.
Can you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Executive Director of the McNulty Leadership Program at Wharton. I'm here today to talk with Mario Musa, author of Committed Teams, 3 Steps to Inspiring Passion and Performance. Welcome to Knowledge at Wharton, Mario.
Great to be here.
So, Mario, I've known you for some time, and your interests range from influence to negotiation to organizational performance. This is a book about teams, specifically committed teams. What led you to write this book now?
Yeah. Well, for the past 3 years, my co-authors and I have been involved with EDP, the Executive Development Program. And as you know, 3 times a year, EDP brings in executives from around the world, about 60 executives. And they come here, they take courses, they take sessions about leadership and finance and marketing and so on.
Sure.
And then there's a very intense, immersive simulation. And then the third part of the program is teamwork. And they form into teams and they compete with each other for 2 weeks.
Within the simulation?
Within the simulation. And the environment is very realistic. So tensions run high, there's euphoria, lots of competition, lots of collaboration.
The ups and downs of
and
any
downs.
team.
Yeah, right, exactly. So EDP really is a living laboratory in which we've had the opportunity to observe, as we like to say, 100 teams forming and competing with each other over 100 simulated years. So we like to think of this living laboratory as an opportunity to do a lot of field work. So over that time, we've gathered lots and lots of data, and all that data now is captured in our book in a framework that we call the 3x3.
If I'm not mistaken, Mario, your 2 co-authors, Derek Newberry and Madeline Boyer, both come at this work from anthropological training.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it must have been heaven for them to watch 100 teams forming and evolving over time.
You got it. Yeah, that's exactly it. So Derek, Maddie were trained as anthropologists, cultural anthropologists, or business anthropologists, really. And then we work with a number of other observers. We call this whole team the HPT, High Performing Team of observers. And most of them are trained social scientists, and most of them are anthropologists. So what they excel in is observing. We love to quote that great philosopher Yogi Berra, you can observe a lot just by watching. So most of the time we're not watching because we're distracted. So we've really focused in on the experience that these teams have had, as I said, forming and competing, and we've learned a lot from that.
So you mentioned the 3x3 framework, which has come out of these observations. Can you start to describe that for us a little bit?
Sure. What we found is high-performing teams, basically when they're getting started on a task, focus on 3 things: goals, roles, and norms. So that's the first part of the 3x3. And if you look at the team's literature, you'll find versions of those basic foundations again and again and again. So I wouldn't say that is all new, though we've streamlined the framework a little bit in that respect. But we also find that teams need to continually revisit those foundations in the 3 steps that we mentioned in the title. So step 1 is to commit to shared goals, roles, and norms.
And what I hear in that is there's something about being explicit about what those goals, roles, and norms are.
Absolutely, yeah. Explicit and having a really good conversation about those 3 things, and maybe we could come back to, how you have a really good conversation. And then, given that there are all kinds of pushes and pulls in a typical workday, so one may be on multiple teams, you may be working on multiple projects, you have commitments outside of work.
How are you describing my life right now?
Exactly. So you're distracted, and you're going in many different directions. And over time, naturally, almost inevitably, there's drift on teams around those goals, roles, and norms. So you need to revisit them. So we found that high-performing teams check in from time to time.
What does that look like?
It's going back to those.
So I think I'm going to stop here because time is limited. But I will say when you have time, I recommend that you watch the video to the end. So let us continue. I just wanted to give you a highlight of that. We'll continue from the main features of the high performance teams. So these are the main features of high performance teams: putting personal talent to work. They are basically summarized here. They put their personal talent to work. They encourage and motivate others. They accept suggestions. They listen to different points of view. They communicate, which is very important. They persuade others to cooperate, resolve and negotiate conflict. They build consensus, almost the same as when we are doing excellent teams, about the same properties, features that they have, fulfilling commitment and avoiding disruptive acts and works, which lead us to what teams actually do. Two things I would say. One is they recommend things. They are set up to study a specific problem and then recommend solution for them, which means that the teams typically work with a target completion date, and then they often disband once the purpose have been fulfilled. So the teams include things like task forces, ad hoc committees, special project teams, and the like. Now, the second one are the teams that run things. As I described here, when we say that we mean people with formal responsibility for, basically leading the company, organization, and also, controlling their component parts. So they may also exist at all levels of responsibility, from the individual work unit composed of a team leader and members to the top management team composed of the CEO and senior executives. So in this case, and in this, with this, we have we can it make it possible for key issues that are addressed by top management teams. For example, things like identifying the overall organizational purposes, goals, and values, as well as crafting strategies and persuading others to support them. So, teams that make or do things. I'll explain more on that. Remember, we have teams that run things, recommend things, teams that recommend things, teams that run things. Then we have teams that make or do things. I'll call this a different topic. So the people in this team work. The best way to classify them is that they are work teams that perform ongoing tasks, things like tasks like marketing, sales, manufacturing, or system analysis. So members of these teams must have effective long-term working relationship with one another. Yes, which is very important. Why is it important? Well, for many reasons. Okay, the right technologies and operating systems and the external support needed to achieve effectiveness. Okay, at the time, so they have to have a good relationship with stuff like that. So they also need energy, which is they can leverage to keep up with the pace, and not only to keep up the pace, but also to meet up with the day-to-day challenges that of sustained high performance. So, but the good thing, or I'll put it this way, the good thing is that organizations have recognized how important teams are. So, they now they're not using teams everywhere. All organizations, I would say, especially big organizations, but even small ones, are using teams and teamwork to improve performance. And the another thing is that the catchwords are empowerment, participation, and involvement, so that we have that the responsibility of building high performance teams now rests not only with the manager, but also the coach, the team leader, and even the team members themselves. Okay. Now, of course, we can conclude by saying that one way to view an organization is to look at it as interlocking network of formal teams. Any question before we continue?
No
Any-
questions.
Okay, good. Now, we can now look at some types of teams. We have the formal teams. Why are they called formal teams? Because, of course, because they are created. They are created, and also they are given official assignment to serve the specific organizational purpose. So we call them formal teams. Also, some are permanent and ongoing, and we have many examples of that. So good examples include departments. You can have departments as a full team, like market research department, or divisions, like consumer product division, or teams, just teams, like a product assembly team, temporary committees, and task forces. So all these are groups that are created officially. They are created and officially designated to serve a specific purpose. Now we have informal groups or teams. Now, these are usually formed through personal relationships. Okay. Organizations have informal, vast network of informal groups, especially one that emerge and coexist as a shadow to the formal structure and without any assigned purpose or official establishment. So these informal groups are formed through personal relationships and create their own interlocking networks within the organization. So they include things like these friendship groups and the interest groups. So we have other types of teams, like the friendship group. I've already mentioned friendship group, which are persons with natural affinity for one another, and the interest group. But there are many other types of informal groups. Yeah. So we should be looking at I recommend that you explore more from your book. Now, other types of teams, we have cross-functional teams, and we also have problem-solving teams, which are created to solve a specific problem in a company. For example, the president of a company might convene task force to look at a possibility of fixing or implementing flexible work hours for their employees. So if there's a particular problem in the organization, they might form a problem-solving team to deal with it. Then we also have the one we call employee involvement team. So in this case, we are referring to a variety of teams that members meet regularly to collectively examine important work issues. A good example is what we call the quality circle. The quality circle. So an example is what is a quality circle simply means a small team of persons who meet periodically to discuss and make proposals for ways to improve quality. We have less than 1 minute now, so it will time up anytime. So, but when it does, please wait for 10 minutes and log back in, okay? Can you hear me?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So I will continue talking until it times out, but wait for 10 minutes. When it does that, log back in so I can finish up. So I have mentioned other types of team, employee involvement team and the quality circles. We also have self-management